Hello, Mother. This is your IT question of the week, which you probably know because you asked it. You asked a very good question. How is a passkey different than a password? And that's a great question, and a lot of people ask it. I explain it at work all the time. And you actually made a very good point about going back to checks that you mail in because that is exactly what they are trying to fix, the frustration of passwords. Uh, so let's talk about passkeys. The first thing to understand about passkeys is why they're better than passwords. And passwords are pretty bad. So here's why. First off, passwords are very easy to forget and they're very easy to steal. We all forget them. That's simple enough. You never know what it is. Even if you write it down, it's going to have to change, and then they force you to change it for security reasons. It just turns into a big mess. And then on top of that, the bad guys can steal them. If you use the same password on multiple sites, then they steal it from one site that you use that password, and then they try it on all the other sites, and often it works. So it doesn't really protect you that well because the bad guys can just say, "Oh, hello, I am Mom," which is your name, and my password is about my kids because everything, regardless of age, is about your children. And the bank says, "Cool, got it. Here's your money." There is no other verification other than that you have this password. Uh, doesn't work very well. So they tried to fix this, but this made things really, really annoying. And I apologize about the clip art. When you search for mom, that is what comes up. So you're going to have a baby in this one. Um, so you say, "Hey, bank, here I am. Here's my password." And the bank says, I don't know. I'm going to send you a code. And this is where it gets messy because you never remember, did they text you the code or did they email you the code? Which email did they send it to? Which phone did they send it to? If you're sharing an account with somebody else, like your bank account, oh no, we set it up with the other phone. Is it on the authenticator app or is it text message? Like, this gets really complicated a lot of the time. Sometimes it's really easy, but uh, it can get nasty. And this is the problem we're trying to fix. There's Dad. Even if you do all that, the multi factor authentication bit, the bad guys can still steal it. Well, it's a little bit harder, but they can still do it. They steal your password and they say, "Hey, here's my password." And the bank says, "Okay, what's the code?" Well, all they really have to do, if they're really motivated, is to then call you or text you or whatever and pretend to be the bank and say, "Something horrible has happened. We just sent you a code. Please give us the code." And you say, "Oh, sure, here's the code, bank." And then the bad guy gives it to the bank, and then they're in. It was way easier, way back in the day, when you just walked into the bank and they knew who you were because they knew you.
Good morning. Hello, Mom. I see you have a child.
I may have added some additional information into the prompts, but you get the idea. So, setting up a passkey is the next best thing to walking into the bank. Setting up a passkey is introducing the website to your phone. In this case, we're introducing the bank to your phone. Could be your computer or something else, but we'll start with phone. So, what you do is you say, "Hey, bank, here's my phone. If this phone asks to get in, it's really me." And the bank and your phone exchange some super secret codes, and the bank says, "Cool." So, later on, when you want to get into the bank, you say, instead of even giving them a password, because why bother, you say, "Hey, phone, prove that it's me." The phone sends some proof that it has the super secret codes that were exchanged earlier. And the bank says, not just, you're in, it knows who you are, it knows everything else because those super secret codes belong only to you. And the only machine in the world that has the proof is your phone. So, quick questions that you would probably ask. If the phone just has some super secret codes, why don't they just take the codes off the phone? The whole system of passkeys is built so that the codes can't get off the phone. It's long and complicated about TPM chips and a few other things, but the way it is built is they are stored in a separate place on the device and they can't leave. Second of all, they are just sending, when they tell the bank that it's you, they're just sending proof that they have the codes. They're not sending the codes themselves. And so it's a super secret algorithm of a whole bunch of things like the time and all the other keys they exchanged. And so it sends this proof, and the proof, because it has the time in it, can't be reused for very long at all, sometimes like as low as 30 minutes. So even if somebody were to steal the stuff that your phone is sending to the bank, it's only good for a little while. And so if somebody tries to suddenly log in from some other country than the one you just signed in on, the bank will throw up lots of red flags and say, hey, you just signed in from Texas and now you're in Norway. That's unlikely, and it blocks the logins. So it really locks it down to where those codes are essentially one-time use. Secondly, what if somebody steals your phone? Well, your phone, if you'll notice, when you try to use a passkey, it will make sure that you have logged in with your face or your fingerprint or your PIN or something else uh, relatively recently, and usually every time you need to use that passkey. That is what makes it multi-factor authentication, because you have two ways to prove that it's you. Number one is that you have the physical device, the phone that has the secret codes on it. And number two is you have provided biometrics like your thumbprint, your eye, your face, something else to prove, hey, this is really me. Now, if you share your phone with, if you give all your kids your phone, I know you were old, but other people watching this might not be. You're not that old, nor am I. But if you share your phone with your kids and all the kids know the password, then yeah, the kids could then say, "Yeah, bank, I'm mom. Here's the password," and it's always all threes. Um, so that's of a concern. But the bad guys who are trying to steal it from far, far away, they have neither your phone nor your face. What if you lose your phone? As I said, the phone is the only thing that has the super secret codes, and it is. There's always another way to unlock, even if that is just going into the bank and saying, hey, I'm me, here's my passport and everything else. It can be annoying, especially for small websites that don't have a whole lot of support. But anybody sophisticated like a Google, a Microsoft, an Apple, a bank, something else, they've got this stuff figured out because people do lose phones. So just annoying. It's not the end of the world. And then in some cases, you might have the choice to make your passkey on your phone or on your computer. Which one do you do? Well, it's up to you. You are making a super secret code and saying, hey, bank, if you see my phone, it's me. Or saying, hey, if you see my computer, it's me. If you always use this service, your bank or this website or your email or whatever, if you always use it with your phone, great. Make the passkey on your phone. If you always use your computer, great. Make the passkey on your computer. If you might use one or the other, make a passkey on both. Works totally fine. Totally up to you. So, the end of all this with the giant angry thumbs down. It's kind of weird. It's upside down. But it's that passkeys are good and you should totally use them, especially for big sensitive services. Hope that helps. Have a good night, Mom.